Thank you. Good to have me here. To be honest, I didn't say anything different. One could have predicted that speech, and it came out just the way we thought it was going to come out. I think more than anything else, he stood on the fact that three things were most important for them while they were preparing to come into office, which was security, the economy, and of course, corruption. But Nigerians will tell you on very clear terms that none of these things seem to have been eradicated or, beaten down to the barest minimum as we were expecting. The security challenges are still there, the economy is still dwindling, and of course, corruption doesn't seem to be making any headway. We haven't seen a lot of people being prosecuted, as the case may be, through the judicial system.
They'll tell you, of course, that you have separation of powers.
Yes.
But courts don't belong to the executive.
Absolutely. So, of course, the court...
So you want to expect them to prosecute, to rein the people in and go to court and do the adjudication there or pass the judgments?
So, absolutely. So we know that we have a system like that. So the style in fighting the corruption isn't making any headway. So probably...
Which style would you want to use?
People like us will have really asked for a plea bargain because to start with, one of the reasons why the people stole the kind of monies they stole was because the system was loose.
I was listening to a program on radio this morning, and the lady was saying, if you're a youth, if you're saying plea bargain, people should get back the money they've stolen.
Yes.
Then she said that people will steal so much money, and then they will bring back a little of what they've stolen.
That is because...
And then keep so much back, and then what would you be telling the youth that people should go and steal when they are caught? They can bring back a little and keep back some?
So if you let me respond to you, first of all, you need to understand why these things happen. If you keep money in a loose form, people are going to pick it up. If you drop 100,000 naira here, someone is going to pick it up. But if you put 100,000 naira in a safe, lock that safe up, put it in a concrete cell, nobody's going to go in there. If somebody goes in there,
what do you mean loose form?
So what I'm saying is that the system doesn't protect us.
How?
The system allows this kind of things to happen.
How?
And the only way we can have a system that's going to truly protect the people when it comes to our resources, our collective resources, is to have proper data management systems driven by technologically driven systems that will protect our systems.
How?
I'll give you an example with the banking sector, which is absolutely the biggest sector we have right now in the country. If 1,000 naira is missing, that cashier doesn't go home that day. He will have to balance the books. And when he's trying to balance the books, he's not thinking...
Is it the current banking sector that has been rife with corruption that you're talking about, or another one you want to bring on board?
The current banking sector, whether rife with corruption or not, has managed to minimize the kind of corruption that goes on in the system compared to how it was. It is true, compared to how it was some years ago. And what we're saying right now is, if that kind of cashier cannot balance the books, we do not just hear that the money is missing. We hear who took the money and at the time they took the money. So what we're saying is, if this kind of systems are not being adopted in our civil service, in our military, and all other kind of systems, we're going to keep having the kind of reoccurrence of corruption carrying on or going on. And so if you do talk about the separation of powers, whether from the National Assembly, the lawmakers, or the judiciary, or the executives, the fact that we're not finding a cohesion or we're not finding the executive finding a way to work with the National Assembly and the judiciary, I find it a big problem.
Let me come to, before I get back to the president's speech,
yes.
I personally,
right,
I find it, I don't even know how to find it. You're contesting for the president.
I'm running for office of the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Yes.
Doesn't it sound funny to you? Have you been in politics?
The kind of experience
required... Have you been in politics?
I've not been in politics.
You don't have any experience in politics?
The kind of experience...
You don't have any experience in politics?
Just answer. Let me respond.
You don't have any experience in politics?
The kind of experience required...
You didn't start at the councillor level. You didn't start at the Senate or the House of Assembly level or the National Assembly level. And the thing you want to go contest for is presidency.
So if you let me respond to you,
go
sir.
on.
The kind of experience required for good leadership doesn't have to be through a political process. And I've seen many people who have run from councillor level to state level to the National Assembly, and I'm not so proud of the kind of experience they're ready to deliver.
But have you seen somebody who wasn't in politics who just jumped from where he or she was?
I've seen Donald Trump, and that's just one. I've seen Donald Trump, and that's just one. But
Donald Trump has been in politics. He was a Democrat, moved from being a Democrat to being a Republican. So he's been there.
As what? As what, really?
I mean, he was in politics.
What office did he run?
I mean, he was in politics.
What office did he run?
You have to start... I'm not talking about office now.
So what,
I'm talking about the fact that...
How can you tell if I haven't been part of politics?
I asked you, you said no.
Yes, because of course, obviously, I'm sure your question was, you've not been a councillor, you haven't been...
No. What I meant is,
that's what he said.
Have you been in politics?
What I'm putting out to you right now is, the kind of experience required for good leadership doesn't have to be through a political process.
I'm not even saying it has to be.
I give this to you as well. There's nothing wrong if you run for president of this country. You have the constitutional right to do so. I'm sure you're over 40. So what is most important for us to understand here is the system cannot be cleaned up from how it is right now. If you go into, right now, if you go for a councillor, do you know it's been dictated by the...
All right, let's just go back. Let's just come back. I just took that as an aside.
Yes.
We're talking, let's even talk, okay, maybe a little bit about corruption, then we'll go to the question of the economy.
Yes.
The president talked about the TSA.
Right.
The whistleblowers policy. The continuous audit and the VATs and the impact it has had on curbing corruption.
Yes.
What's your take on that?
I like the TSA. I like the fact that the TSA, even though it was, being orchestrated by the previous administration.
It doesn't matter who started it. The point is...
If you will let me finish, I'm not worried about who started it. I'm just acknowledging it. And so if it started from the previous administration, I'm happy that this administration is actually letting it fly. But more than anything else, I think it's a great idea, and I think it has really helped cover a lot of things. However, it hasn't stopped. So there's still inflation on projects. There are still projects that have not been completed on time. There is this allegation of how projects have been handled. And I think these are things that we need to look at. So if most of us supported the emergence of this administration because we believe that some things were going to change. We haven't seen them change. We have every right to talk about it and say, fine, we like the fact that some things are working, some other things are not working, and we'd like to see them happen differently.
Would it be fair to any leader if we think that corruption is a thing that's going to be dealt with?
There's corruption everywhere
in
around the world.
one term? No, because you talked about TSA. And the fact that, yes, it's achieved this, and the fact it's not doing this. And of course, the whistleblower policy, which is new, and it's done quite, I mean, I think it saved, according to what the president, I hope I'm not wrong, 500 billion or something like that. The same thing with this TSA. I mean, because these are areas as well to curb corruption. So I was asking you, to what extent have they impacted the system when you talk about corruption?
You see, there are many things involved. Even with the TSA, for example, I like the fact the collectivity and the resources and making sure we're being disbursed them, but they have actually slowed down the process. Because right now, before monies are being allocated to different projects, it takes a longer time. But for me, what I want us to understand is that the problem with Nigeria is bigger than just the corruption in it. It is the mindset of the people. So a lot of people within the country who today would not even want the systems to work because of the mindset that come along with. And that is why we will stand for 4 different things. And we need a united country right now, because no matter how hard you're trying to solve some of the problems, the mindset of some other kind of people do not want to see you succeed. We want a country that is truly secure. The security situation is still rapidly changing the country, and we're seeing things moving from not just the northeast anymore, but somewhere in the middle part of the north coming down to the southeast, and we think that's a big problem. But then we have to